Okay, let me stop. Hold on.
Mom, would you tell me the story that you told me and Harold about a glimpse of heaven? You know, a dream or a vision you had.
Yes, Charles, I'll tell you.
Okay.
But you know, you and Harold kind of changed it all around. You know, I'm going to give you the original right now. Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mother. Okay.
Are we ready?
I'm ready.
We're ready.
Okay, I have to start all over again. All right. I lay down in my bed this one night, and I don't really know whether I was asleep or awake, but I really think I was awake, but I'm not sure. But anyway, there was a door on the other side. I didn't see the door until I walked over to the door. And when I walked over to the door, all of these things that was on me, like sickness and disappointments and so many things I can't name right now, just fell off. Just like 10 or 15 cars putting on their brakes all at one time. Just fell off. They couldn't enter into the door which I was going into. And as I entered into that door, it was just like the Spirit of the Lord was there. I didn't see the Lord, but I looked around and there was a chair. It looked like that chair was made just for me. High top chair, and it looked so comfortable. But I didn't want to sit down. And I looked around and there was a bed. And it looked like a half bed. It wasn't a full bed, it was like a half bed. And it was a gold bed. And I looked down and I was standing on this gold carpet. But I didn't want to lay down or sit down. But the presence of the Lord was so great. And all I could just say, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus. And I could just feel His presence all around me, just filling me. And I just couldn't do a thing but just say, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus. But I never did see His face, but He was right there with me.
Yeah.
And then that lasted for a while. And then there was a voice said to me, now it's time to go back. And I said, no, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. I want to stay. And the voice said, no, you have to go back. And you got to tell everybody that you can, what you have seen and experienced.
Yeah.
So I didn't come back the way that I went. Coming back, it seemed as though I had to take a road to come back. I had to walk back. And walking back, I saw everybody in my family that had passed away.
Yep.
And I didn't stop to talk to them or anything, but I saw each one of them.
What were they doing? Just looking at you? What? Waving?
They were just doing their thing. Some of them was talking to each other. And they didn't, like I said, they didn't say a word to me. They were just doing what they usually do, I guess. Like my mom and my auntie and all the people that I was raised up around. They was on each side.
How were they
Seemed
dressed?
like they was on one side of the road and there was some on the other side of the road. And
Do you remember how they were dressed?
I don't really remember how they were dressed. It seemed as though they were dressed the way that they usually dress in those days, you know. So as I journeyed on down the road, pretty soon I just come to a stopping point, and that was it. I woke up.
That's
And
beautiful.
that was the end of that.
Wow. You did a phenomenal job telling that story. I could see you had me there with you. And what got my attention, you said God asked you to tell everybody that story. Okay.
And I told it as many times as I could, but, you know, I told it at church one time. And I don't know, you know, everybody at church was white.
But they probably thought you was white until they saw your kids.
But it seemed like, you know, they looked at me. They looked at me as though they didn't believe what I was saying.
How did that make you feel?
I'm saying. I didn't feel too good.
I mean, sad in that
It's
because they
all,
didn't believe you, or sad
I would
because you
think
thought
they
it was,
would say, you know, they would feel something, but you know, I didn't get any kind of response. You know,
I believe.
you know,
I believe. it.
sometimes, you know, and the church, there are a lot of churches where God actually isn't there.
Yep.
You just have a bunch of people gathered,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I'm touched every time I hear you tell that story.
but now this wasn't really in service. It was like, you know, like on a Wednesday night when we would have like prayer meeting, and everybody would
Like
have
a
chance to say
testimony, a
something.
testimony
Right.
service.
Right.
Yeah.
Not really testimony.
Not testimony.
Anybody that wanted to say something, they could, because they didn't have testimony service down here where I go.
Oh, okay.
But anyone that really wanted to say something, they could, you know, say it whatever they wanted to, but it wasn't really a testimony service. But
Well,
You
I
know-
think, Ma, that your stories have touched. That you don't have those memories, because I think the memories you should have, and the proof of how important your stories are, is printed in a book now. We videoed you talking about your stories, and we've videoed you talking about angels that you've seen and that you've met. And none of us find it strange because, as I said when I came in here and started talking to you, I've never known anyone that's lived the life that you've lived. I mean, I've never known anyone, I'm a preacher all my life. You have children who can say, I know what it is to be a Christian and to know Christ based on how you've lived your life. I mean, and you can't say that to anybody. I mean, how many people can really say that about anybody that they really know? You know?
But you know, these experiences that I've had, that is something that you never forget. You know, some things you can forget, you know, down through the years, but you know, something like this, you never forget it.
Right,
You
right,
never forget it.
right.
It's something that just stays with you forever.
And I think in a world and a time when so many people, there's so many choices that people have as far as how to follow God, how to worship. You know, there's just so many choices, and the choices can even be confusing. You know, that those few people or those individuals who God has put his hands on and say, you know, tell my peoples, you know, tell them who I am.
Yep.
Then you know when you hear something that is truth, that because it has the essence and the flavor of God. You know,
Well,
so
I don't want to cut you off, but I want to tell you this one, and then I'm not going to tell you no more. But this one particular time, I was getting on the bus. It was one of these buses that had the handicap things, you know, for the wheelchairs.
right, the
All
ramp
these
for the
little
wheelchair.
things down here to put the wheelchairs and hook them in.
Right,
Okay, and I was sitting on, I'll never forget this, because I was sitting on the right side, and all these things over here was the left side. So the bus stopped to pick up this man. The man got on the bus, and he sat right there where all of these things was, where there was plenty of room back there, in the, you know, for him to sit. But he chose to sit right there where all of these wheelchair things was, and it didn't look comfortable at all, because he was sitting there with his feet all in those things, you know, where the wheelchair was supposed to be hooked in.
right.
And I couldn't figure out now. I said, wonder